Welcome back to the Irish Mags Show, episode 41. And we are not live, as we've just discussed before we hit the record button. But we are here for your weekly Newcastle United podcast, brought to you by the Irish Mags NUFC supporters group. My name is Paul, and as ever, I am joined by my talented co-hosts. It's the Spaghetti and Moretti of the Irish Mags, Alan and Chris Show. Welcome in, boys.
How's it going, Paul? How are you?
Hey, Paul. Good.
Which one is the spaghetti and which one's the Moretti? That's the question.
I think I'd beat him already, right? Yeah. I drink it off a Stormy.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. I'll let you have that one.
Alan probably eats spaghetti with cider or Monster or something. You know, we're familiar with his
cooked in Monster. That's what it is.
Oh, we've really started off on a terrible note here, listeners. I do apologise. It can only get better from here. But on this week's show, we will be chatting about that epic and somewhat fortunate win over Tottenham at the weekend, as well as discussing how we feel the season has gone so far, which players are already standing out in terms of performances and form, and how do we think Newcastle have played, and how do we think Eddie Howe has performed after the opening 4 games of the season. Also, as we have an international break coming up, we're going to do a little deep dive into some of Newcastle's most impactful kind of international players on the international stage. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to nominate some of our own personal favourites who we feel deserve a mention. We've all picked 3 players, and from that we're going to actually rank a combined top 3 and maybe even crown our most impactful or best international player on the big stage. This is going to be a tough one, actually. I'm not sure how it's going to go. Time will tell. And for an extra special bonus this week, we have the return of both Chris Show's bad take of the week and the Irish Magstermind quiz is back. It's been a while. And listeners, you'll be happy to know that Chris Show is asking the questions today. He's not answering them. It's the clash of myself versus Alan once more. Alan, I'm coming for you, son. I think I won. I have a feeling I won the last one as well.
You did the last one.
Yeah.
Alan's been biding his time to get to this moment. Indeed. Right, lads, before we dive into all that, I think we should have a chat about the weekend, maybe. Probably starting with not 1 but 2 meetups here on Irish soil for the Irish Mags. Alan, Dublin and Cork, I believe, right? I'm sure you weren't in 2 places as once, as talented as you are.
I haven't managed to get that in just yet, but I'm working on getting to both meetups. But yeah, I'll talk about the Cork meetup first. So, unfortunately, the King of Cork, Mr. Paul Slaughter, decided not to show up. But as you can see with the picture, yeah, he didn't turn up. What a disgrace!
Wow.
I totally agree with that. And as his manager, as the community manager, I'll be having worse of him.
the boss man. Yeah. Oh, I like this now. Alan's he's going to start throwing his weight around now. Yeah, Billy Big Balls now. We're going to start giving shit.
But yeah, you can see the guy. It wasn't a massive turnout, but for who was there, they seemed to have an absolutely great time. So you have Nags Jr., Mark, and others whose names I am absolutely useless at remembering. I'm so sorry, guys. So it just looked like a great turnout from everyone there. But and then up in the Bleaker ourselves, we had a bit of a meetup as well. If the pictures are to go by, we had new mags, old mags, Geordies, psychopaths everywhere. There was people falling up and downstairs. It was an absolutely smashing turnout.
That was just Chris Show, I'd say, was it?
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on, did I? I don't remember that. Maybe I banged my head in the way down. I don't remember.
You might have banged your head, Chris Show.
The turnout for ourselves on Saturday, there was 35 of us thereabouts.
Wowza.
And it was another case of we took a photo and then 10 more people gave out that they weren't in the photo, so we had to get another photo. And I'm going, I did announce after the match that we were going to take a photo, so why did you leave? It's not my fault. And not that I'm giving out to anyone, Chris Show.
Oh.
He's on one today, Chris Show.
No.
You weren't in the photo.
Oh, yeah. I went downstairs to get a drink, and then I went outside. And you know what happens when I go outside?
Priorities.
So I announced, don't leave. We're going to take a photo. He leaves. So I was like, I'm going to kill him. So
I thought
we had a crack.
I thought we were going to come back, but it was a nice thing. Both myself and Al, our beautiful faces getting recognised, and it's nice to see that people would go, "Hey, are you Chris, or are you Alan from the podcast?" They've listened to it, they've seen us, they've heard us talk about the Bleakers and the crack we have. They've seen the pictures, and I think it was 2 or 3 brand new people turned up at the Bleaker Street on Saturday.
Joey and Matt are two of the names that I have.
All right, okay.
Here is two of the new lads. So lads, if you're listening, watching, how's it going? How are you? Welcome to the chaos.
Welcome to the chaos. Thanks very much, guys. We had a right crack.
Yeah, I like that. Welcome to the chaos. Lads, how does it feel to be famous on Dorset Street?
Terrifying. Terrifying. The last place you want notoriety is Dorset Street in Dublin.
Yeah, I was famous before this happened, so infamous maybe, but it's nice for someone to come up to you and say your name without actually going to throw a punch to you or something. So it's nice.
Speaking of infamy, did anybody see the Strawberry putting up a picture today?
Oh, I did.
Oh,
we have somebody gone viral, do we?
We do. Our own Sean Bowes and the other names that they're going from my head. They were the ones to fill out the result board in the Strawberry this week. So we finally got ourselves on the Strawberry result board. So thankfully, Sean, fair play to you.
Doesn't he just look so cute with his little Newcastle backpack? Our little Dora the Explorer there on tour, Sean Bowes.
Yeah, what a stupid backpack.
That's yours, Alan.
I have the exact same one, so I can't give out about it.
No, I'm not dissing the backpack. He just looks very cute in his little backpack. But fair play to Sean. It's great to see Sean going over for the games as well. He loves a trip to Newcastle, does Sean?
Does he?
And speaking of trips to Newcastle, Chris Show, it looks like there was a good number of Irish mags in attendance at the game, from what I could see.
Yeah, there's a right crew of people. Like, got some great photos from the stack again, as always, representing the Irish mags. Seems like the top level. The second level is where where's a good spot to get a kind of a large picnic table and put our flags over the top, just kind of right in front of the screen. I think nothing less that Tame would pick that spot right in front of the stage, second level. But it looked like there was it looked to me like about 12 or 15. And then I didn't know Shawnee was going. So yeah, decent haul, 15, 16 or so. I don't know. I don't know how many exactly it was, but it looked like from the stack and from the photos we got in, it was about up to 20 maybe.
I seen pictures with 12 or 13 lads in the stack, and then there was 15 or 16 in the Irish Centre. And then I have it on good authority that Sean Bowes was politely asked to never come back to Rosie's before being asked by Rosie's, no, please come back. We need you to keep us in business. In business. So there was Irish mags falling out of every pub in Newcastle all weekend, and it was great crack.
Nice. And that's exactly what we want to see, especially with the results that ensued. But we'll get to that in a moment for sure. I also saw some other interesting photos, lads. I saw a couple of the Irish mags actually bumped into a current Newcastle player who was on the bench for the game, and I think he was on the same flight back. Was it Alex Murphy? I think I saw a photo with Daz at least, and then one of the younger Irish mags as well. Correct me if I'm wrong.
There was. And there was also one other photo of Connor Mateer and his mate who were in the barracks and definitely didn't sneak in to level 6 where they met Sean Longstaff and the family outside of the Longstaff's box. So
just as you do.
As you do. Like, now they definitely didn't sneak in illegally and try that and all that jazz, but
no, we wouldn't
get into level 6 from the barracks.
Was there not another photo? Did I miss it, or was it? It was sent on to
when
me.
You banged your head.
Well, yes, it could have been, but the lad met Darren Eels. I got that sent on to the group.
I didn't see that one.
See if you can dig that up, and we'll get it on screen as we're speaking here.
Yeah, I'll try to get it up here.
Nice.
See, when there's 27,000 messages, it's very easy to miss something. Let's be honest.
It's tricky to collate these things, but keep taking those photos. We love to see obviously Irish mags on tour. I was jealous not being able to go this time around, but I can't complain because I was there at the opening game, and hoping to get over again soon. Although the old Man City ticket ballot didn't go too well for most of us by the sounds of things. The less said about that, the better for now. But I think there's a resale actually on the Tuesday morning of when this podcast. Yeah, we're recording on the Monday. So maybe we'll actually swing in for the resale. Lads, it's like getting fucking Oasis tickets, isn't it? It's a difficult task.
Don't mention the war.
No. There's enough of that now. Yeah. Lovely stuff. Well, definitely a good weekend in terms of the result. As we said, the Irish mags travelling, the meetups, the whole lot. A decent weekend by Irish mag standards. All well behaved, apart from Chris falling down the fucking stairs.
I didn't fall down the stairs. All right, guys, come on. I definitely didn't fall down the stairs. I might have slipped, but I didn't fall.
You did now.
All right, okay.
Excellent stuff. And as always, folks, keep an eye on theirishmags.com. We've got all our photo galleries up there. We'll be uploading all the pictures from the weekend, from the meetups, from the Irish Mags on tour, some of those photos with some of those famous faces. And you can keep abreast of all the upcoming meetups that will be coming later down the line. But a gap this weekend because, as mentioned before, there's an international break, which we'll be coming to very shortly. Let's talk about this game, lads, shall we? There was a game. Newcastle won.
Oh.
We won a game. 7 points from 9, lads. Unbeaten after, well, technically 4 games played this season, 3 league games and a cup game. I heard a stat on, I think it was watching on Sky, that's Newcastle's first time winning back to like the first 2 home fixtures in the Premier League season for 24 years. Since the year 2000. I actually dug this up. We beat Derby County 3-2 in the opening game of the 2000-2001 season. And in the second home game, we beat Spurs 2-0. Spurs are a banter club, people.
Yes,
and we
they
love
are.
to see it. Absolutely. I think it's fair to say, Al, I mean, I mentioned the word fortunate at the top of the show there, describing that win. I think, once again, lads, and I feel like this is, a bit of a deja vu, I feel like we're lucky again to get that win. The same way we were fairly lucky to get at Southampton, and the same way we were fairly lucky to get a draw at Bournemouth, and rather lucky to get out of that penalty shootout against Forest. Newcastle and luck, is that a thing, Alan?
No. I don't think that we were lucky against Spurs. I think Spurs were shocking in the final third. Spurs didn't score a goal. We scored an own goal for them. I am convinced that if they were still there now trying to score, they wouldn't have scored. Nick Pope was actively trying to shovel balls out to them, and they still weren't hitting the target with shots. It was just bananas. Like I seen a stat, I don't know how true it is, but from 20 of their shots, they had an XG of less than 1, which means their shots are. It's having 35 shots may look great on paper, but when you're shooting from 35 yards straight down the neck of a goalkeeper whose biggest attribute is purely keeping the ball out of the back of the net, it's not going to do much for you. It's shooting for shooting's sake. It's like the opposite of the old Arsenal. They used to try to walk it into the net. Spurs are doing the opposite of let's just shoot from anywhere, and eventually one of them will ricochet off someone and go into the back of the net, which is exactly what happened. They had a ball bobble off a keeper. They took a shot and it was ended up being buried into the net by Dan Burn. They didn't have any opportunities where I went, oh, they should have scored there. They had loads of half chances and half opportunities. They never got into truly amazing spaces, if you know what I mean. There was one time Brennan Johnson whipped the ball across the 6-yard box, and I just went, if Dominic Solanke was on the pitch, he's standing on the 6-yard box burying that. But it didn't have that, so it didn't matter. So were we lucky to get the win? Absolutely. We had 5 shots the whole game. We scored 2 of them. That's what clinically a team what you want them to do. When you have a striker like Alexander Isak up top, you're always reliant on he'll get that one opportunity and he'll put it away, and he did. So
I feel like we definitely had more clear-cut chances, and the quality of our chances were a lot more. I mean, as proven by the entire XG stat and everything that went with it. Even if we gave them an awful lot of space, an awful lot of time in the ball, and probably something we're going to chat about in a while, because we don't seem to be too keen on even having the ball. We're not too bothered about possession. We just want to force errors, press high, get the ball back and break and score. And look, if it keeps working, who are we to judge? Chris, we're going to talk about ratings in a minute. We do have a new segment, which is going to be Brian's ratings, Brian with a Y, from the Irish Mags group. And we're going to put them up on screen. But just before we get to that, Chris, in terms of the lineup, what was your first take on the lineup? So it was Pope, Tino, Livermento right back, Lloyd Kelly left back, Crafton-Burn in the middle, and then Longstaff, Bruno, Joe Linton, and Gordon, Barnes, Isak. What was your take on the lineup, the starting 11? Any surprises? Would you have picked the same?
I'm surprised at Kelly going in. I thought Hall would have carried on playing left back. Other than that, Al called Longstaff getting put back in, and Tonali getting used as a sub. So that was spot on. If we can keep Gordon, Barnes, and Isak, until January 5th and playing well, I don't think we've enough to get out of jail. The thing is, this is 4 games in a row now. We've seemed to have slightly got out of jail. Let's be honest here. I said it was going to be 3-0 last week on the podcast. It could have easily, very, very easily been 3-0 to Spurs or more. If they were on form and they had a striker on that pitch, we could have been. We still would have scored that initial goal, but it could have been another one of the bloody games from last season where we were 3-1 down. Like Forest the Forest game at St James's Park. It could have been like that. So I hope we haven't used up all of our luck. But the team are solid. Joe Linton, that pass for the goal was great, but again, he seemed a little bit on the wobble. I don't know. I'm not really sure. The last couple of games, I was saying it when we were down at the meetup. He seems like he's not really on top form, but yet once in a while he can pull out something like that, turning Madison on a sixpence and pass it straight through to Isaac. But that was quality stuff.
Yeah.
But there is only one thing that I have to say, and I know we'll move on to it, but Krafu was amazing. Yeah, Kraft was amazing the whole day, solid as a rock. So there's good points here, but we've nearly used up all our luck, Paul. We've nearly used it all already.
And last season we had an absolute feast of bad luck for the entirety of the season. So we're definitely due some good luck, but it's a dangerous game to be using that much luck after just 3 league games in the season. So eventually we're going to need to kind of, I suppose, get rid of being lucky and actually earn the right to say we're putting in good shifts, proper performances, what we expect. But it is still very early in the season. We'll have a quick chat about some of those ratings actually from Brian. So we're going to put them up on the screen here. If you want to go and jump on the YouTube, if you're not already, you'll be seeing them on screen now. So our friend Brian, not one of the Irish mags, one of the more infamous of the Irish mags, we're actually going to be bringing his ratings into the podcast post-game. So he's gone with, I'm just going to call them out. He's gone with Pope with a 5.5. Tino, who he's given his man of the match to, he gave an 8. Kraft 7, Byrne 5, Kelly 6.5, Longstaff 6.5, Bruno 6, Big Joe Linton 6.5, Barnes 7.5, Gordon 5, eyes emoji, and Isaac with a 7. And then for the two subs that probably made the most impact, who played a bit longer, would have been Murphy on a 7, Tonali on a 6.5. He didn't actually put in one for Hall. The Hall did pretty well when he came on as well, so probably a solid 6.5.
Yeah.
Alan, any numbers that catch your eye there from Brian's ratings? Would you be in agreement in terms of overall? Would you say Tino was the best player in a black and white kit as well on the day?
I didn't think he was the best player on the pitch. I thought he was very, very, very good. I thought Kraft was our best player. I thought he was absolutely immense. I didn't think Gordon was a 5. I thought that's very harsh. I also didn't think Bruno was only a 6. If you're giving Big Joe a 6.5 when Big Joe is as bad as he was, you have to give Bruno at least a 6.5. But listen, you can't disagree with any of them. The other one that a little bit iffy, I thought Kelly was the worst player on the pitch. We were solid at the back, but Kelly is a centre half playing at left back. And I really, really thought that when we got rid of Byrne playing at left back, we were getting rid of this whole let's play a centre half out of position job. But it looks like Eddie is determined to make that happen again this year with Kelly at left back. I don't.
Some people would say, guys, that he got the assist for the goal, right?
Yeah, and nice to see that as well. He was getting forward at times. He was linking up with whether it was Barnes or Gordon or whoever was there. I think. Hindsight is always a wonderful thing. I think I was fine with Kelly playing left back when I knew Kulusevski was the right winger. The moment Brendan Johnson was on at half time, changed a lot for Spurs.
Yeah.
And Kelly couldn't really handle him, and I thought, the reaction there is bring on Hall. Now we eventually did see that. But I think when you have those pacier wingers, and we've talked about it before when Dan Burness came up against the likes of Pedro Neto or Anthony Langa last season, these kind of bigger frame, kind of more centre back-ish left backs do tend to get turned, and I thought he kind of struggled, but it was nice to see him getting forward, nice to see him getting minutes in. Again, he's still a new player, so we can't be too harsh on him either. But I do see the points that Alan has made. I thought the back four were actually very strong in the first half. I play football, right? I'm a defender. There's nothing more satisfying than a disallowed goal for offside, and the back line is in a perfect shape, perfect straight line. No doubt, no VAR, no drawn lines. They just stepped up together as a unit, and 2 Spurs players offside for that goal.
Yeah,
I'm clearly easy to please, lads, but there's just nothing more satisfying than that. It's a back line functioning well, considering it's makeshift. Yeah,
me and Krisho had that exact conversation on Sunday watching the match. He was a bit like, and I was like, no, that's the perfect line. When your defense is, everyone knows their job. They've done what they need to do. They don't need to go for the ball. They know they're offside. They can just let them put the ball in the back of the net. It's beautiful. And it was absolutely, it was a cracking line altogether. It was deadly.
Yeah.
No, it was good. I thought they did well. And as you said, Pope, a couple of errors, 2, if not 3 occasions. He was really bothering. I think it was Don Hutchison was the commentator on Sky. He was really struggling with Pope pushing the ball into the path of these Spurs players. But he's right. And it ultimately led to a goal. Granted, it was an own goal. Dan Byrne, it's just, kind of right place / wrong place at the wrong time. Couldn't do much else. Maybe a bit of panic, but that ball wasn't going in.
Enjoy Pope. Everybody listening to this podcast, enjoy Pope, because it's the last season you'll see him in goal for Newcastle United. The guy cannot kick. He did one good pass to Gordon, I'll give him that, yeah. But maybe they're teaching him more how to kick. But Pope, Pinocchio legs, this is his last season here.
Pinocchio legs.
He's done. Yeah, he's done.
Do you know what? He still makes some great saves. He made some brilliant saves on the day as well. Yes, he just fumbled a couple of those where he could have held the ball or should have just pushed it out over the line. And I also noticed it was probably on his kind of slightly dodgy side from that dislocated shoulder. It was the same side both times that happened. So let's see. But ultimately, as a shot stopper, I think he's rightly called back into the England squad. I still think he's one of the best keepers in England, if not better than Pickford. So yeah, fair play to him. And of course to Tino, who also got a call up. And as we said, arguably one of our man of the match against Spurs. Lovely to see him called up. And we also see that Kieran Trippier has retired from international football, which is something we can touch on in our international players segment. See what I did there, lads? See what I did there?
Very good.
The absolute segue. And just to close off on like the overall performance, I suppose, Jacob Murphy, come on, couple of errors, couple of dodgy passes. Took him a while to kind of catch up with the pace of the game. But ultimately, that goal when he's broke through, I mean, we mentioned the weighted pass from Joe Linton. Oh, I live for a weighted pass through ball like that. And you want someone like Murphy there, just direct run. I did have a fear that he was just going to go all the way himself, the same way Isak had just done like a few minutes prior. No. So happy that he had the composure and the kind of...
And he would have tried to dink it. He would have tried to dink it, and I would have cried, and that would have been the end of it.
I honestly thought that it was, I honestly, just for a split second, well, maybe more than a split second because I'd had a couple of beers, but I honestly thought that Isak had ran so fast ahead of him that he actually passed it to offside position.
See, I actually had a brief moment of the same as well. Yeah, I had a brief panic.
But they just ran away, and I thought, oh, thank God, Murphy. So again, Murphy, pre-season was excellent. He's gone into the season again. He does a job. The guy is Ron Seal. That's what he is. He does what it says on the tin. He's Ron Seal, this fella. He's bang on. Murphy,
yeah,
don't
especially there's all this talk about that right wing position. We've in that game against Spurs, we saw 3, maybe even 4. No, I suppose Almiron came on the left, but there's options there now, right? Obviously, we saw Barnes and Gordon kind of swapping roles in there. I think Barnes is definitely better off the left. We saw that with his goal, which took really well. Actually, thought it was another great performance from him. Yeah, he's really looking sharp. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him kind of unleashed this season. It would be great, especially because Gordon is taking a little bit longer to make that impact on games. Even though we didn't make that signing on that right winger, it is, I suppose, Alan, like, do you think that, Eddie's kind of going, well, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to have Gordon and Barnes and Isak as my front three, and maybe I'll swap between Barnes and Gordon on the right? That seems to be kind of the mentality here, rather than what we kind of all were thinking before, where it was one of Murphy or Almiron. That doesn't seem to have to be the case necessarily.
It's a great dilemma to have, to go, who am I playing on the right between Barnes, Almiron or Murphy? It's the exact type of decision you want your manager to have to be making. You don't want lads to be going, we've no one, we have to force someone into that position. We are now looking, going, this is a tough decision to make. Now, let's be honest, Barnes is levels above both of these players when he's fit, firing. But not everyone is fit and firing every single day of the week, so it's always nice to have them options. And as you said, going forward, our front three is Isak, Gordon and Barnes.
Our front three is top 4, top 6 team.
It's top 6. I wouldn't say top 4.
Right, top 6.
That's up there. No, when it's that front three and they're all fit and firing and on form, absolutely they can compete with anyone. But we, it's very early in the season. Like you'd argue that none of them are actually yet at that top form. Probably Barnes has been the most impressive. Isak struggled to get into the game, but maybe we didn't get him into the game either. But again, he gave us exactly what we needed. There was an outlet that was there when needed. Just didn't get as much of the ball as you'd like to see, I guess.
Well,
overall, I think. Go ahead.
The one thing, Paul, that you definitely don't want to do against Newcastle United is play high line, because we will annihilate you essentially. Like the breakaway, like through the lines. Sorry, like the defense are playing a high line. We'll either go over the top at the wings or straight through, and the pace that we have, like with Gordon, Murphy, Isak, the pace we had. I noticed as well. I don't know if anybody else noticed this. Tonali's fierce quick.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that's
he was clocked. Wasn't he? He was clocked at very high speed last.
the champs. He's the second highest sprint speed in the Champions League. But then throughout this whole ban, seemingly he's been working on his pace, which when you're already the second fastest player in the Champions League, it's not a bad thing to have.
Oh,
absolutely, lads. And he like a slightly shorter cameo, I suppose, rather than versus when he played against Nottingham Forest. But I thought he looked good, did well.
Oh,
Again, hard to come into a game at that pace, and it's it is big, tough opposition. So good to see him get those minutes under his belt in the Premier League. And the reception.
Oh yeah, I stand by what I said. Bruno Guimaraes is sensational. Tonali will be better than him for us.
He's still on it. He's still on it, Chris. He's
still on it. He's still at it. Yeah, he's still at it.
All that monster fueled spaghetti. Yeah, we know the story here.
We'll see when Paul Mitchell. We'll see when Paul Mitchell sells him to Inter Milan in January. We'll see him as this.
Never keep Tonali for good now. I'm a big Tonali enthusiast. Lovely. Well, look, I think overall, I think we were a little bit fortunate to come away. It wasn't our best performance. Even Eddie Howe said the same thing in his post-match interview. But again, looking at the chances we created and the goals we scored, if you were to just compare chances against chances, I think we deserve to win. And we'll absolutely take it because, lads, as of now, going into the international break, with 3 games played, we are 5th in the league. You never write that.
Come on.
This is exactly what we wanted before the season started. If we had been offered 7 points and went through to the 4th round, every single Newcastle fan on planet Earth would have went, thank you, see us later. We'll come back after the international break.
Bite your hand off for it, 100%. Sure, we'll carry on. As we mentioned, we are in an international break, so we will have a quick chat about our next game, which is going to be against Wolves, but it's it's kind of basically about 2 weeks from now, thereabouts. So we'll have a little bit chat about that before the end of the show. But because it's international break, and also, lads, Ireland versus England, eyes emoji. Alan, I believe are you attending that game from what I've observed?
I will be. Nice. I always do.
I must warn you, lads. I may need some help here because I believe there's a certain individual well known in this neighbourhood here on the Irish Mags show heading to Galway this particular weekend when that game is on. Tev is going to be let loose in Galway, and apparently I'm responsible for looking after him. Any advice or tips, lads?
Pull a sickie.
Yeah, pull a sickie.
Should I go away for the weekend? Should I just go to the airport and get the hell out of Dodge?
True.
We'll see how you go.
Absolutely. If anybody's knocking around Galway at the weekend, listeners, myself and Tev are going to be knocking around for that game. I think Chris is coming down from Mayo.
From
Mayo. And there may be a few others in tow. So if anyone's knocking about Galway, do give us a shout or drop us an email to the info@theirishmags.com. Galway is being hit hard. But yeah, international break. We said we'd take a little trip down memory lane and have a chat about some of Newcastle's greatest ever international players. There's quite a few now. We're looking back over the kind of Premier League era, so the last, I guess it's kind of close to 3 decades. And we're each going to nominate 3 players who we feel have made, I suppose, a substantial or the biggest impact for their respective nations in some shape or form. So we're each going to pick 3. I'm interested to see, I'm interested to observe Chris talk about Jeff Hendrick, because that's just how life goes. But we're each going to pick 3 nominations for who we feel has been kind of very impactful on the international stage. It's not really just about kind of number of caps, but more so, their impact for their respective nation that they played for, or whether it was at a major tournament and so on and so forth. So we shall start with, Alan, I think we're going to start with you. And I'd like to hear who are the 3 nominations you want to talk about and make a case for as some of our most impactful international superstars.
I went a little bit of a different route. I went with people who are just impactful, shall we say, not always good impact, but impactful to say the least. So I've gone with Moussa Sissoko, Craig Bellamy, and Jonas Gutierrez.
I see.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So, to run through them, Jonas Gutierrez was getting into the Argentina squad Well, Messi was in it, Aguero was in it. Like, that team was just chock full of absolute superstars. And Fabrizio Colacini and Jonas Gutierrez for some reason. I'm not complaining. That man has like 40 international caps. Fair play to him. That is sensational. Craig Bellamy was just a bastard, and I absolutely loved him. He was a wind-up merchant. He did whatever he wanted to do. Like, I hate talking about something he done for another club, but the rumours came out that he hit John Arnorisa with a golf club on a Friday night. They played against Man United on the Sunday. He scored a goal, and his celebration was to grab John Arnorisa and pretend to hit him with a golf club again. Like,
the man is a fucking lunatic.
I absolutely love it. And then my other one is Moussa Sissoko. Moussa Sissoko is an enigma of a footballer. He was the laziest, most infuriating footballer when he did not want to play. When that man got in the mood to play football, couldn't get near him. He was like a wardrobe running down the pitch with a football at his feet. But he was silky. He was just amazing. The man has lost the European Championships final. He missed out on the World Cup winning squad because of his poor form for us. So hate that, Moosey. You should have put your fucking effort in. But you don't get into a Euros finalist team, play not every single minute, but every single game, and not be a fantastic footballer. Let's be very honest about it. So my shout for our best international player is going to have to be Moussa Sissoko, because he done so much at an international level. So.
That's a fair shot. Yeah. And again, like, he got to a Euros final in a star-studded France team, as you said. So impact there for sure. Maybe not as impactful for us at times, but like you said, I've never personally seen a wardrobe running down the pitch with a football. But I'd imagine if I did, it would look like Sissoko at full speed, at full form.
Full tilt.
That's a good analogy. Okay, Bellamy, Sissoko, and Gutierrez. Well, I wouldn't mind drinking at that table. Let's go to Crisho's table then. Right. Crisho, you've nominated a different 3 players from the international stage who have featured for Newcastle.
Yeah, I got the easy ones. I mean, I got the obvious ones, essentially. And if anybody on the podcast, I'm really sorry if anyone can hear Cole player playing just there. So I do apologize.
Yes.
It's about 8,000 decibels, so there's nothing I can do about it. It's basically taking over the whole
free concert on the Irish Max show. Take that, Chris Martin.
I'll take you out to the balcony in a minute. But for me,
we'll have a bit of time.
International wise, let me see. Right, let's just go straight up. Alan Shearer, right? Everybody knew I was at least kind of going to go with there, right? Alan Shearer, 63 matches, 30 goals. They drew 22 of those matches when he was playing. If he wasn't playing, they probably would have lost some of those 22 draws that they had, because he saved them a number of times. He was class all over the place. Yeah, he was the captain. He played in some of the bigger tournaments. Okay, he could have done a little bit better, but in some of them, the fact that he got into the Euro 96 squad after a year and a half nearly of not scoring a goal, and that Venables went with him and stuck with him. There's nothing really much you can touch.
Did he get the golden boot in that tournament as well? No?
He joined golden boot. Him and 4 other people got it. Yeah.
Joint.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's not much more superlatives that you can say about Alan Shearer. And then he's ended up just being a genuine nice bloke as well. And he's actually quite funny. He's actually quite funny on one of our rival podcasts, the one with that Gary Lineker fella and that other Richards fella. But look, Shearer, right? So
Sorry, I just realised he said rival podcast.
That's a rival podcast. Yeah, in the future. The next one is obviously the big man. Big man from Donegal that we're going to hopefully get on here as soon as possible. Shay Given. Yeah, so 134 caps, second highest capped Republic of Ireland player. He played in a lot of tournaments for us. He was solid for Newcastle, just as he was solid for the Republic of Ireland. He's a gent, and he made some really, I don't think we would have got into some of those playoffs that we got into as Ireland if he wasn't in goal. I know Jeff Hendrick played with him, and Jeff tells me that Shay is a class goalkeeper. So if Jeff's all right with it, I'm all right with it. No, I want to have something here really quick, please. Right,
seal of approval.
Right, okay, look at 134 caps, right? He's the second highest capped Republic of Ireland player. Who is the top? Just really quickly. I'm just testing you quiz-wise. Who's the highest capped Republic of Ireland player?
I thought
he
it
was
was
the highest.
him.
He's the second.
Is he? Well, it must be Robbie Keane then.
Hang on. Highest capped Ireland player, right?
I was sure that it was Shea, but I could be mixing that up.
It's not Seamus Coleman, is it?
No, it is Robbie Keane.
Oh, it is Robbie
It was Robbie Keane. Yeah.
146
I remember
caps. Number 3.
Yeah,
No,
That's a
number,
serious amount.
that's a serious amount of football, right? From 1998 until 2016. So for 20 years. Yeah. 2 years less than Shea Given. And John O'Shea is third, if anyone was wondering. Yeah, with 118 caps. But anyway, look, to get out of that was just a quick quiz thing. The third one is Jorginho Wijnaldum. Yeah, one of the players that I really admired when he played for us. Frankly, I couldn't believe we signed him. And then when we did sign him, I was thinking, wow, we've got some player. Everybody else in the Premier League went, hey, wait a minute, who's this? And obviously, Liverpool nabbed him and he got them through Champions League final and everything else and so on, that Barcelona game. But the way he played for Newcastle, the way he played for Holland, he's got some impressive stats. He's still basically, even though he's playing over in Saudi now, at age 33, he's still in the Netherlands squad. And anyone from midfield, and I know he's a kind of an attacking midfielder, but at an international level to score nearly 30 goals in 96 games is very, very impressive. I don't know what he's doing out in Saudi. Maybe it's got something to do with money, but we can't really talk about that, can we? It broke my heart a little bit, him going to Liverpool. But look, on an international stage, Gigi Wijnaldum has done all the way through from under 17, all the way to the senior squad. He's been top notch, and he's made some really important appearances for them. So he's my third guy. But if it was the person for me, it would be Alan Shearer, even though it's for England. But in terms of impact, Alan Shearer's made impact at our club, our city, and his country, and he's done it with pure professionalism. And he's one of the best players and best strikers I've ever seen in my entire life. So it was always going to be Alan Shearer for me. All right.
Yeah. Hard to fault that. He's got two big hitters in there now with Shea and Alan Shearer in terms of impact there, So that's going to be hard to compete with. And he even managed to just get a mention of Jeff Hendrick. I mean,
naturally.
Are
you surprised?
Can't be stopped. No, I'm really not.
He sponsored me.
To mention him. We're going to have to get a Jeff Hendrick jar where you put a euro in every time you mention his name. We'll be millionaires this time next year.
Oh, Christmas party, that
would. All going in behind the bar in the bleaker. Right, we'll carry on. So I picked three other ones who I feel are worth a mention. I suppose I'll start with just an icon is like for the country he played for. Never mind for us. It's Gary Speed. Yeah, that's it's tragic, obviously, what happened with Gary Speed and in the way he passed away. But yeah, what an absolute one of the most underrated midfielders, you'd have to argue, like in the Premier League. He defend, score, attack, box to box. He could play any of those positions, right? He played on the wing, he played at fullback. He was just unbelievable player for Newcastle. But in a world where Wales have had some relatively recent success. I think they got to the semi-final of the Euros. During the majority of his time, the players that were around him, there were some decent kind of players floating around, Ian Rush and Mark Hughes, but Wales weren't really qualifying for tournaments. But he was number one on the Wales team sheet every time they had an international game. And I think he's, if my facts are right, I think he's up in the top 10, if not top 5, all-time caps for Wales as well. I think Bale has the most, understandably. I just feel Gary Speed needs a mention. Again, it's we know this as Ireland fans. You get these top elite professionals, but based on the country they're from, they're never going to really achieve much on the international stage, right? Yeah, you could say the same about Shea and many others. But I think that Gary Speed definitely deserves a mention. And of course, he managed his national side as well for a period, and kind of was at the start of that period of success that they ended up going on with the likes of Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey. So he's my first nomination. I'm going to give you my second nomination, and you might get it. You might be a bit surprised by this, but I feel like I don't know, underrated player again, David Batty. This might surprise some of the listeners, right? But here's what I want to pitch about David Batty, lads. You look at England down through the years. And you remember they had this whole Gerrard and Lampard can't play together and yada, 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 Scholes, nobody cares. When England were really like clicking in that Euro '96. You know that we mentioned Shearer, Golden Boot. David Batty was at the heart of that midfield, and I mean he was brilliant for us as well. And he was like, he's just defined. He was the definition of a number 6 in a world where number 6s are becoming kind of a bit of a commodity or hard to come by. Let's say,
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like if England had a David Batty, you know, during their golden era when they had all, you know, the Gerrards and the Lampards and all that, I just feel like, you know, he actually was very underrated from an England perspective, and arguably even with ourselves as well. Like he was part of that team that fucking nearly achieved greatness and became legends. So, and he won a Premier League with Blackburn, I believe, as well. So
Yeah,
I was a David Batty fan.
Yeah, he missed penalties though. He wasn't great at penalties.
He did miss. Hey, we said impactful. We didn't say positive or negative
or
impact.
bad,
We
yeah.
just said impactful.
I get you.
He made a difference in some shape or form.
Love it.
So yeah, David Batty would be another shout for me in terms of like he's just again slightly underrated, a little bit of an out there one, but definitely worth a mention. And the final one, lads, is a player who probably didn't do as much as we would have liked to see him in a Newcastle kit. In fact, I think he joined us about 4 years too late. And I believe it was might even have been against the manager's wishes, and that was Patrick Kluivert. So we signed Patrick Kluivert, I think, 2004, if my memory serves me right. And he's still, I think, believe to this day, he's still the all-time Netherlands top scorer. Like, he was a goal machine back in the day. I mean, you're looking at a player who played for, was it Ajax and Barcelona, like great Champions League teams. I think he was at AC Milan and Newcastle for a period as well. But the reason I suppose Kluivert was one of the first names to come into my head, obviously he's played for Newcastle. He won the Golden Boot in the Euros, I think, in 2000.
Yeah.
And that's when we should have signed him, not 4 years later when he was a little bit slower and getting on and maybe just not the same level.
Big fat pat.
Big fat pat. But you have to say, like, what an elite striker he was. Do you know what I mean? It's a shame he didn't do, you know, big things for us, but like he was one of the best strikers in Europe for a long, long period. He was a feared striker at the time, you know. And his son played pretty well against us as well for Bournemouth, didn't he?
I like him in January.
No.
We should see. We're still waiting for Joachim Anderson to go from Crystal Palace to Fulham to Newcastle.
Hey, it's coming. It's coming. You keep an eye out for it. It's coming.
He never said when. He just said it was going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Right, so there are my three. I think we had a few other honourable mentions, like Colaccini has definitely made a lot of appearances for, again, Alan mentioned that talented Argentina side. Johan Cabaye is someone who actually was part of that star-studded French team as well. Philippe Albert, Fabien Scher for like Belgium and Switzerland respectively. Like they've like tons of caps between them. Les Ferdinand obviously playing in an England kit. Maybe we won't mention Michael Owen today. We might just park that to one side.
Stephen Carr.
Stephen Carr, another one, obviously there as well. Yeah, there's so much. So it's it's nice to see.
Shola Amiobi, Paul.
Shola from Nigeria, yes.
10 international caps and 2 goals.
Come on.
What a legend. We love you, Shola.
We love you, Shola.
Malcolm Slayer. So yeah, it's good. I suppose it kind of brings us around now to the current international break. You know, we mentioned Tino getting called up to the England squad, Gordon, Pope. You know, lads, it was a long time where England squads were barren of Newcastle players, and we wouldn't have had that many internationals in general. So definitely nice to see that increasing with the Brazilian lads as well.
When do we think the last time Newcastle had more players in an England squad than Manchester United? I haven't got a clue. God. I tried to Google the answer and I was getting nothing. But that's a pub quiz if I've ever seen it. It has to be donkey's years.
Wow, jeez.
Yeah. We've 3.
They have to go searching,
Yeah.
There you go. If any of the listeners want to go and find that out, you can leave it in the YouTube comments.
Go look up the
last time we had more Newcastle players. Because Alan has too much monster in his brain to go concentrating on something like that. So we won't expect him to do it. Right. We said we might kind of crown a top 3. So I'm just going to ask each of you now to just pick one, either from your own or from someone else's. If you just want to nominate who you think deserves like the accolade for maybe our biggest or best international player over the years. Alan?
Shay Given.
Good shout. Chris Show.
Yeah. I mean, I would have said just that, but no, I'll go Al Shearer.
Yeah, you go Shearer as well? Ooh, they're the two kind of standout ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, you've left it. It's a tricky one now. That's some serious names in there. I'm probably going to go Gary Speed. I think that legendary status, it's not easy to be a legend for
Good
your
call.
nation, and he's absolutely that. So I'm very happy with that as a top three. And I think they all deserve to be number one, so we won't pick a number one.
No.
We'll go with those lads as the top three. Three absolute legends of Newcastle and England, Ireland, and Wales, respectively. Rightio.
Right.
Alan, hang your head.
I don't know.
It's that time of the week.
It
It's
is.
time for Crisho's bad take of the week.
This
Take it away, Crisho.
This is, I'm going to give myself a yellow card for this. This is, and don't get me wrong, there's been a collation and a deep analysis of all the bad takes that me and Al overheard, that we've read in the last couple of days, that we've probably seen expressed on Twix in our group. But our main chat group is an excellent source of bad takes, because the last couple of games have been lucky and a bit dodgy performances. And I had many to pick from and many to gesticulate, and ruminate, But this one is one of the kind of main bad takes. And first bad take, real bad take of this new season, is that Botman's going to find it hard to get back into the starting 11 with the way that Byrne is playing. Shar will definitely keep his place once he's back from his what's it called, guys? Shar's back from his suspension. But there you go, right? That's it. Botman's going to find it hard to get back in the starting 11 with the way Byrne and Shar are playing together. Go.
By the same sense, I drive my Micra because I don't want to put miles on my Ferrari. That's the logic there. It's nonsense. Botman is a Rolls Royce. He walks back into the squad. Sure, he had half a knee for half a season, and we were playing him. When he's back to having two knees, he'll be playing.
I'm just going to throw it out there, Paul, and you can take on here. I'm volleying it back here, okay? Byrne's too important to Eddie Howe. Shar's not going anywhere. We didn't get the centre back by the end of the transfer window. Botman, it's a difficult injury. He's on the field. He's running and training a little bit with the lads. Forget it. We won't see Botman until March, and even then he'll be on the bench. Boom.
Alan, Crisho used to kind of purport to us that this is like bad takes he picks up on in the community. Sometimes I just think they're his.
This one isn't his. I can give him this one. It's not his.
I smell a rat here sometimes. I don't know.
Unless he has a burner account in the Irish Mags, I wouldn't be surprised now.
That wouldn't surprise me now at all. Yeah.
It's called JFK.
No. It's called Martin Christian. No. I would find it very hard to believe that Botman doesn't. I mean, it's going to take him a while to get back into the squad, granted, and Dan Byrne is the perfect kind of cover there, and the leadership that Dan Byrne brings, and the fact that he's a Geordie, all that kind of stuff. But I think there's no world where if they're both fit and able to play and match fit and match sharp, I would say Eddie would be mad not to just go with Sven Botman all day. But we need to make sure that he does return as the player he was and is. Because it's always hard to come back from a long injury.
That's it.
That's the question.
Is he going to come back as the Rolls Royce that Alan just called him? We bought a Rolls Royce, right? He came in, he fit in, he played well. He's great at long passes, he's great defender, really cool headed, and everything else. Al, is he going to come back the same player?
No, he's going to come back better.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that take. I'll take that. Let's take that. But not only is he coming back, he's going to come back better. That is volleyed straight back into your court, Crisho, but that's game over for now. And the bad take of the week. Okay. We'll probably preview it in a bit more detail next week. Our next game is going to be Wolves away in a couple of weeks' time, just because we've obviously come out of the back of a Tottenham win there against Tottenham. Like, I suppose the two questions I'd ask you each, lads, in terms of like starting 11, is there... Do you see a change being made based on the performances we observed, or do you think that Eddie Howe will kind of go with much of the same, really, because ultimately we got the win? Alan?
I think this may be when we see Tonali get a start. I also think we may see Anthony Gordon get a rest. You cannot justify Murphy coming on and setting up the winner and Barnes starting and getting his goal. If they're doing the right thing, they have to play. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a take. That's a take.
Yeah. They're,
Grisha?
would Gordon be going off on the international duty? He would be, right?
Yeah, he's
He's
in
going.
the
Yeah,
England
he's
squad.
called
Yeah.
up.
He's
Yeah.
in the squad.
Question
Yeah,
if he plays.
I was gonna think like he'd get his 2 weeks. Yeah, he wouldn't play, so he'd get a bit of a break. But I think Al's right. I do see Tonali getting a start, and I think maybe bring Hall back in. I don't think. I think Shelby on the centre back will go in for Kraft and Byrne.
The only thing with that, Hall is in the England under-21 squad, so he will not be training with Howe, whereas Kelly will be. So that's another. Yeah, there's so many
Another
caveats
spanner,
to
yeah.
all these. Yeah, it's
Well, all right.
tough, it's tough.
Who's Tonali coming in for? Al?
Longstaff every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Well, I don't know. That's Eddie Howe's boy. Oh, you think
He's
so?
off to replace.
Right. Okay. No.
Isn't it nice to have options? But I
Yeah,
suppose, look, it's a couple of weeks down the line. We have to remember Tonali is back in the Italy squad as well, so it'll be interesting
That's
to see if he
exactly why I
actually
think
features
he
again.
did.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So it'd be nice to see. Interesting to see. Keep your eyes out, folks, listeners, on who's playing where on the international break, because we do have quite a few boys called up to their nations. Indeed. Okay. Now we're about to come to the end of the show, folks, and we're bringing back something we've not done for a while, which is always puts us on the edge because we're basically giving the power to Crisho and letting him run riot, and that's always he's already got the yellow card in his hand, so I'm already freaking out here, Alan. But it is, of course, the return of the Irish Magstermind quiz. Crisho, over to you, sir.
I love when you say that, Paul. Over to you. I'm like, yeah. I'll have to listen. Right, look. As we all noted last season, I have a particularly poor average, or even I don't even think I won any. Al, did I? No. So I think for this season, anyway, the lads. Al's like Mr. Newcastle Brainiac. Paul, you seem to have a few brains about you as well. I just panic when questions are fired at me, right? So I'll kind of think that it's best for me to run the questions here. I've got a delicious one for you, right? I'm not going to go back too far, but I am going to go back to 1985 up until now.
Oh, dear.
I want you guys to name the Newcastle manager since 1985. Okay?
Oh.
Okay.
Are we working together on this one?
Not with you against each other, right? But whoever can get right answers, you've got 3 wrong answers, you're out. Person wins,
3
right?
lives.
So, and I'm going to give you the first one, right? 14th of August. 14th of August to the 10th of August, 1984 to 1985 was the magnificent Jack Chapman. Okay? It's okay if you can't get initial early ones. We can go all the way up. But essentially, I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 24, There's 31. There's 31.
31.
Okay.
Yeah, managers. Now, again,
This
I was
is going
going
to be tricky.
Now, look at I've got Paul, Alan. Right, lads.
Listeners, of course, if you'd like to participate, you can always hit pause. But looking at Alan's face and feeling how I'm feeling, you may not need to hit pause. We may take a while on this one.
It's fine, lads. But
yeah,
it's exactly right. So I've got all the info here, got all the stats here. So look, you can go just recently. You can go back to early 90s. And
Alan,
let's try and do some chronology, will we?
Are we going back, or are we gonna go for because I'm struggling back then? I was born in 1993. I just want to caveat that. So this is before I was born.
Right. Well, look, I'll tell you what. Right.
Let's just go random. Let's just shout names.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right, Alan, we'll let you go first because you're just. I don't think you should get a point for the current manager, Chris. Just throwing it out there.
Right. We'll take Eddie out of the list.
Right.
Okay.
We're not going with lads who took over for 2 games. The way do you remember?
They're probably on the. They'll be
They're
on
the list. They're on the list.
Right. Well, are you going to count Graham Jones because he took over for a game before
Alan
Eddie took on?
Alan, I am going to take Graham Jones. Yes.
Okay. Right. So that answers that question.
Score to Alan. Paul.
Okay. Glenn Roeder.
Yeah, Glenn Roeder, yeah.
Cabbage Head Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm writing them down as he says it so that I don't double up later.
That's
Kevin
probably
Keegan.
a good show.
Yes, Kevin Keegan, and we went all the way back to the 1992 when he came in and changed our club forever.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Bobby Robson.
Of course, Sir Bobby Robson.
Kenny Dalglish.
Yes, very good.
A manager that I will never forget because of a story by David Edgar about Shay Given, Joe Kinnear.
Oh.
When he was announced to the squad, Shay Given turned around and goes, "You got to be fucking joking here," as in joking here. And I was like, "Oh, jeez." Yeah,
Nice. Well, Shay. He's a joke here. Chris Hughton.
Yes, Chris Hughton. Yeah, that was at a time between 2008 and 2009. We had two Irish-based managers, Chris Hughton and Joe Kinnear.
What was that?
and I have Chris Hughton's jumper from that season.
Does he know?
Yes.
Does he know you do?
Does he know?
He gave it to me after I left his house.
Okay.
Pardiola, Alan Pardew.
Alan Pardew. Yeah, absolutely. Headbutt McGee, yeah.
Yeah. Rafa Benitez.
That's
Rafa
what I'm saying.
Benitez.
Graham Souness.
Graham Souness. Excellent. Very good, Alan. That was from September 2004 to February 2006. 87 games.
Ruud Gullit.
That was 52 games, 1998 to 1999. Famously dropped Alan Shearer for the Derby and lost his job about 2 hours later.
Speaking of Alan Shearer,
Yeah.
Alan Shearer.
Alan Shearer, yeah, and for a bonus point for anybody listening, he only managed 8 games, of which he lost 5. So, man, Shearer.
And we got relegated.
I didn't want to say that word, but yeah, you're right. We got relegated because of Joey Barton's fault at Anfield. But anyway,
Typical.
Who we got?
I'm just looking at the list to see who we've not said, basically. Did you say there's 31? Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of managers, guys, for like a year or a year and a bit, or
a lot, hasn't there?
7 games. So, like, what's come out here is Graham Jones is gone, Steve Bruce is gone, Benitez is gone, Pardew's gone, Houghton's gone, Shearer's gone, Kinnear's gone, Kevin Keegan's gone. I'm just looking. Glenn Roder was mentioned. Graham Souness, Bobby Robson's gone. Ruud Gullit's gone. Dalglish is gone.
I think I've got one from the 80s side of things.
I think I've
only
two,
got
I'm
one.
afraid.
I think I've only got one, and I'm going to go
afraid.
with it now. I'm going with Jim Smith.
Yes, Jim Smith. December 1988 to March 1991. 121 games in charge of Newcastle with 44 wins. Jim Smith.
Right.
Very
you went
good.
for your one. I'll go for my one, who I honestly don't know when he was the manager of Newcastle, but I know he was a manager of Newcastle. Willie McFall.
Willie McFall from 1985 to 1988. 149 games out with 52 wins.
That's a very
Excellent.
good choice.
52 wins. That's brutal.
34.9% win average, or win percentage, sorry. Pretty dreadful.
I've won more than I think may count.
Paul, have you got one? Because you're going to get started.
Oh,
Surely Terry McDermott minded the team at one point.
yeah, he has.
That's one of the greatest things that's ever happened on this podcast, because he did for exactly 6 days in January 1997, and we drew the match. Yes, he did. 8th of January 1997 to the 14th of January 1997.
Wow.
Between Keegan and Dalglish.
Did we mention the Wally with the Brolly? Steve.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve McCourt.
Did we say him yet?
We did not say that. Alan.
Great shout.
Steve McLaren, 10th of June 2015 to the 11th of March. 31 games, 7 wins. Yikes, basically. Yikes. Lads,
Okay.
you have one. See now, 1,
I think
2, 3, 4, 5, 6 managers left.
I think I've one of them.
I think it's
I think
Paul's
I could be
goal.
struggling here. You know, I could be struggling here.
I'm waiting to say.
It's the caretaker manager thing that's bothering me here.
Yeah.
It really is. So, didn't Eddie Howe miss a game?
I think I may have already given that answer with the Graham Jones answer. I think that was
it wasn't Tyndall. It was Jones. It wasn't Tyndall.
Yeah.
Look, Paul, I'll give you a hint. Yeah, but you've only got another 20 seconds to answer. Give you a hint. Between 2006 and 2008, there was some really poor choices made in terms of management.
So this would have been post Souness.
Yeah.
Who came in after Souness? Was it not Roeder?
Yeah. Then what?
Who was after that?
Something dreadful.
I hate this man.
this is from May 2007 to May 2008.
Oh, it's Big Sam Allardyce, surely.
Big point of wine, Sam.
Big point of Sam Allardyce. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah,
you're still in the game.
Prick.
You're still in the game, right, lads? There's not many left. And if there's somebody has lost the quiz. So here we go.
I'm gonna go with another dodgy one. But I'm sure I think he was in the early 90s. Ozzy Ardiles.
Ozzy Ardiles is right. It is right.
Great shout. I forgot he was there. Jesus.
March 91, February 95, or 92, sorry.
I have a video, like an actual video of some like season review or something like that, and he's on the front of it. That's in the brain there for some reason.
So look, we have 47 games, 10 wins, 18 draws, 19 losses. So,
crikey. Christian, do we have others from the kind of 80s to 90s, like pre-Keegan? Is there any others on that list, or otherwise I have a guess, but if there's no point, I won't get.
There's two more. Pre-Keegan.
I'm gonna go with Frank Clark. Might not be right though. Raging.
Sorry, Paul.
No,
that is not there. I think that was Nottingham Forest that he managed.
Yeah, I know. I know he played for Newcastle. I was just thinking maybe he had a little spell with us as well.
No. Unfortunately, not. Alan.
Okay.
He's
smiling? He's got something.
If I said okay.
No. The man who claimed to be the best coach, not in the Premier League, not in Newcastle, but in the world. John Carver.
Yes,
John Carver at the shout. Oh, of course.
John Carver. Yeah, I do.
Dreadful.
I tell you what. He has the highest win percentage of any Newcastle manager in history. From the 11th of September 2004 to the 13th of September 2004, for 2 days, he had one win, a 100% win ratio. And then he came back to haunt us again with a 3-game streak, 15% win in 1st of January 2015 to the 9th of June 2015, after Alan Pardew got sacked or left because of his gambling debt. Either or. But yeah, John Carver is unbelievably come up twice in that list. It's quite frightening. Chris Hughton's came up 3 times. Kevin Keegan's come up twice. But I have to say it because of the first. Al Williamson wins the first mastermind of new season.
Can I have another guess at one before we round it off?
And no one likes to show off, Alan.
I know, but
he's always doing this. Right, come on.
This is annoying me because I don't remember this being a thing. Did Nigel Pearson manage us at some stage or something like that? I'm only saying it because I've seen it on like Soccer AM or something like that.
Nigel Pearson, he's correct, Paul, because Nigel Pearson was Glenn Roeder's assistant, and he took it off him on the 6th of May 2007. And he managed the last game, 2 games of the season, or last game of the season.
I think Soccer Saturday a couple of weeks ago they were talking about that, and that just stuck in my head for some reason. Mad. And I was like, I don't remember that.
But I really don't remember that.
Here's another delicious one. Just to throw it out to our viewers. I wish we were live so we can get some answers on this, but just to the two of you. And Paul, you can go first. Yeah, an ex-manager of Scotland. That's all the hint I
An
needed.
ex-manager of Scotland.
Oh, sorry.
He's-
A manager of Scotland.
Yeah,
A manager of Scotland. Not ex.
the current,
Clark.
the current
Yeah.
manager of Scotland.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was the assistant for who? Ruud Gullit? No.
he was their assistant a couple of times, I think.
Yeah, maybe with a few managers. Yeah, Bobby as well, probably as well. Maybe he was floating around. Yeah, that's a good shot. Yeah, fair
He
play.
took it over as well. And the only two
Those caretaker ones.
Yeah,
They're a nightmare.
the only two that you missed, there's one very famous one, which I'm sure some of our older listeners would know. Alan, I'm not sure. Please tell me you didn't say this. Did you say William McFall? Yeah?
I did
He
say
did.
William McFall.
You did, right? And you said Jim Smith, right? So there's two in between those there. Right? There's Colin Suggett, who I've never heard of before. He managed 9 games for Newcastle in October 88 to December 88.
Okay.
So just before they brought Jim Smith in. And then Bobby Saxton from 1991. It was one game, essentially, lads. He must have been he must have been the assistant manager to Jim Smith.
Yeah.
And then the big times came then because we got Mirandinha then, and then we got Ozzy Artiles, and then we just rocketed it. But essentially, the highest win percentage of all these people that I've mentioned, right, all the way down the list, and I'm not going to count people with 1 or 2 games or anything, right? I think maybe you might be a bit surprised. I think maybe a lot of our listeners might be a bit surprised, but it's actually Chris Hughton.
Championship.
Which won the championship with us.
That's smashed that championship season.
Skewed stat, yeah, unfortunately.
And now it is. We've got Glenn Roeder with 45, and he won the Intertoto Cup. Go on, Glenn Roeder. May you rest in peace. Bobby at 46% at 255 games with 119 wins. And then we had Ruud Gullit with 34%, Kenny Dalglish with 38%, and the Geordie hero, there should be a statue, is Kevin Keegan. In 5 years, 138 wins in 251 games. That's very impressive. 54%, 55% win.
What's Howe's percentage must be fairly decent.
How at currently, well, it has here anyway, How is 47%. So 48%, 121 games and 58 wins with 29 draws.
Not bad.
So
not bad.
Only going up.
It's only going up, so.
Well,
There you go,
Alan
lads.
Williamson, I have to say congratulations. Your own win percentage has just increased a tiny bit there, but I shall have my vengeance in another podcast very, very soon. And thank you, Chris. That was actually a really good quiz. Hopefully all our listeners also enjoyed it. Drop us a comment if you actually got them all before we did, because I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who are smarter than the two of us. No doubt, indeed. And on that gigantic big bombshell, that brings episode 41 of the Irish Mags Show to a close. Again, a reminder, all our social links are in the description below. And as usual, check out theirishmags.com for all our latest Irish Mags updates, all the recent pictures from meetups, Irish Mags on tour, everything you need to know all in one place. We will be back for more Irish Magnus next week. So until then, how away the lads, slán go fóil, and we shall see you all very soon. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Slán, lads.
Slán Awalia. Good luck.
Enjoy the international break. We'll see you all soon.